for the introduction, Mr. Livingstone, and thank you very much, everyone, for attending and the organizers for this great event. I hope I can be heard on the back. Today I will be presenting a view of the vision of the Eunice Energy Group regarding the synergies, the alliances, and the technologies for the new energy future that's coming. I think the very interesting event today was a little bit gas heavy, so I will try to introduce a little bit more the electric side of things for the energy mix. So I'll just give a very brief, I'll keep it really brief, geopolitical overview. We have heard a lot of things about this in the past, in the previous presentations. But I will mostly present a timeline of technologies that are being developed and will be developed even further. And our group focuses on that extremely for the future developments. So just historically, the region and Greece in particular have been very important. It was the cradle of several civilizations, major empires, religions. It has been a very central part of the development. Currently, it's becoming an energy hub. It is a logistics hub for the South Europe and the door to Asia and Middle East. As we have heard, there's a lot of development in the field of oil and gas. Greece, Cyprus, Israel, the energy triangle, and the significant resources that have been developed in this area are in discussion. I don't need to add more on that. It is an extremely positive development for the region. However, I would like to point out a little bit the renewable energy importance of the country. It is indeed the renewable energy epicenter, at least in terms of resource. Greece has extremely good solar resource. It's interesting to note that this resource is very well combined with the very important industry of tourism in Greece. We have maximum solar irradiation when we have maximum needs for cooling and maximum amount of people visiting the country. And the same happens for wind. So if you see the slide for wind potential in Europe, we see that the powerhouses of wind energy are North Europe as well as the Aegean Islands, and this makes the country a very good candidate for a power center of wind energy. Of course, Greece is also a merchant hub of the entire region. Piraeus is the largest port in the East Mediterranean. This is also the largest passenger port in Europe. It is one of the highest EU countries in gross weight of goods transported, and the development of the port offers also a very competitive merchant route from China. The Greek shipping industry is also geared towards playing a major role in oil and gas sea transport. The whole LNG development has been already discussed, and I don't need to point it out even further. So what is our vision and what is our position in the end? Eunice Energy Group is a 100% renewable energy utility that focuses strongly on technology development. With that in mind, and keeping in mind the developments in the energy field, we feel very strongly that electrical interconnections are extremely necessary and very much needed in the region for multiple purposes. One of the major projects of the group is the South Aegean interconnector, in combination with the almost half gigawatt Aegean project of the company. This SAI, what we call the South Aegean interconnector, is a very interesting project that connects some islands and inhabited and uninhabited islands that are literally the powerhouse of wind energy in that part of the Aegean, with Athens and Crete, and possibly with other locations outside of Greece. We have heard a little bit the Israeli point of view regarding interconnections. There have been also some projects in the pipeline or in planning, the Euro-Asia interconnector, the Euro-Africa interconnector. So interconnections are very important for Europe, and the Eunice Energy Group wants to be a central part of that. It's also worth noting that the SAI, the South Aegean Interconnector, has the potential of playing a very critical role in transmitting the large amounts of wind energy potential from future projects as well to the rest of Europe, and to be part of a strong energy trading process. So in our view, Greece will play a key role in the new era of energy, both gas and electric. And gas and electric interconnections, in our view, are extremely important and will be coming more and more. I'll give you a little bit of an energy timeline. I would like to explain a little bit where we think things are going and what can we do in order to be part of this pioneering, I would say, energy revolution that is coming up. So historically, we have a central energy production. We have very long distance transmission with significant losses. And then we have some major consumers and some distributed consumption all over the country or large regions. And then we have some individual, maybe not connected to the main power grid, some islands, some small villages, as was mentioned before, where we have mostly diesel power production. Those remote locations are bound to very high energy prices due to that diesel-powered electricity production. And then, and this is basically the win-lose model, is the concentrated production. We have producers that are basically on the win side, and then the consumers that are on the losing side. And what we try to do is we try to maybe, if possible, reverse that. So the present is the addition of some quite distributed energy sources in the form of renewable energy sources, wind energy, photovoltaics, hydro, that are contributed somewhat in the spatial distribution of energy. Of course, until now, the whole story about remote locations and non-connected islands was and still is the same with diesel-powered power stations. Now, so we speak about this, or we call this win-win-lose model. There's the pie is spread to a little bit more producers, but still we view this as a little bit inefficient. So what are we proposing and what we have achieved so far? First of all, we try to develop a local energy mix. This square sign below the islands and these remote locations is our sign for solar, wind, and battery energy mix. This is, in our view, an optimal combination, especially for this region, for what we call the S4S technology. S4S is the hybrid system technology that our company is developing and has installed with great success at the island of Tilos in Greece. In this way, we either reduce or eliminate diesel consumption in remote locations and islands. And we focus very much on the integration of multiple sources. And we firmly believe that three sources, solar, wind, and battery, are necessary in order to have a cost-competitive solution. So the additional benefit of such technologies is that they are creating a domino effect with additional economic benefits. So through the reduced diesel consumption, of course, we have some monetary benefits. But then renewable energy sources, because of their abundance, if they are harnessed correctly, they offer low energy, so low cost of energy, especially in some hours of the day. So there are cases, for example, where with high winds and high solar irradiation, the energy produced by this energy mix is extremely cheap, which means if we can store it, we will be able to store cheap energy, or we can have electric cars charging for very low price, or initiating the connection of electric vehicles to a local grid that then using the batteries of these vehicles as grid batteries and developing technologies in this direction. So what we believe is that by adding hybrid systems with smart control in those remote locations, we can initiate the beginning of an energy shift, but also of an economic shift by introducing cheap energy, at least for some hours of the day, into the grid. In our view, we have to move away from the term consumer, and then we have to combine it, of course, with the term producer in the well-known term prosumer, and then we are also adding the aspect of the network. Now we say the prosumer is not only an identity, it's an identity within a network, which means the net prosumer is now a person or an organization that is not only able to produce and consume, is also able to transmit energy to neighboring net prosumers, and therefore also be a part of the whole financial chain of energy production, transmission, and retail sale. This, for the first time, brings the consumer into a position to actually have a revenue, generate a revenue from small-scale energy generation. And then, moving to a hyper-grid, what we envision with the SAI, the South Aegean Interconnector, we envision a hyper-grid where we also interconnect those standalone smart hybrid systems. What does this mean? It means that by creating what we call the mega smart grid or the hyper smart grid, we have a large infrastructure that can manage energy locally, can take care of energy transactions, and depending on pricing and energy market state, is able to locally create energy transactions as well as to feed a grid that would trade the energy on an international level. In practice, this means that by increasing the international interconnections of the country, we can increase the energy trading, especially from newly developed wind parks at the wind powerhouse of Greece, which are the islands. Then we allow previously remote islands to be part of this energy trading through aggregators. We are even able to be part of new developments in other fields of technology. There's a lot of discussion about e-ships. Those e-ships will need at some point charging stations or charging ports if and when the ships become electric. And it's very interesting to see what is the difference between charging merchant ships on a major port or creating small hubs distributed that can charge locally from renewable energy sources with very low prices when we have abundance of wind. So there's a new model coming up, and we feel strongly that this will bring the whole energy world to a new position, will create new financial possibilities, and overall will allow new technologies to really enter the energy market. So such systems, we have to say, are primarily software and secondarily hardware. So you can imagine this is a quite complex system, managing transactions in terms of energy between thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of net prosumers is not a trivial act, but we are working on this, and we strongly believe that this will be a successful process. In the end, we feel that the future of this hyper-connected and intelligent energy management, this hyper-connected S4S system, is the future of Eunice Wind, and we hope is the future of at least this region and the energy development. Thank you very much.